there's no piece of legislation that can be passed into law by the Congress that would prevent every single incident of gun violence. But there are some common sense things that we can do, and I think the vast majority of the American people share the president's view in wondering why Congress wouldn't take those kinds of common sense steps.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. The Malzberg panel's here. That answer from Josh Earnest today at the White House press briefing in answer to a question about the shooting at Umpqua Community College in Oregon, where as we go to air, the details are still a little sketchy, but there were several students in that university that were killed and several more that were wounded by apparently a lone shooter who they did get as well. Now, joining us on the panel, Jessica Tarlov, Democratic political consultant and political strategist with Douglas Schoen, LLC. And we welcome Morgan Ortagus, a national co-chair of MaverickPAC and a U.S. Navy reservist. Welcome to both of you. Jessica, let's start with you. I know it was in response to a question, but personally I'm shocked that we haven't heard from the usual suspects like Hillary and Feinstein and Obama. Give him a minute.
Yeah.
We don't even know, what happened here, what the mental state of this person was, why the shooting, how he got the gun, yet all of us, we still need more gun laws and more restrictions.
You can't say that until you hear what they're going to say.
You just said it.
You're just talking about Josh Earnest. You already went after him. For the president. And yes, Barack Obama is going to talk about this. It's an important point of his agenda. We know that over 90% of Americans support stricter background checks. He's going to make that point. We know that this person could potentially have been mentally ill, but we also know that he had access to a gun. Therefore, this is about gun violence. I don't want to have the fight about it. I will say that in a 2013 study of over 60 mass shootings, that they found no evidence that those happened because the place was a gun-free zone. There were other motives that pushed it. What do you mean, just wait?
No. You're confusing two issues.
Anything.
I'm not saying, although the theater shooter went to that specific theater because it was a gun-free theater, but in most of these shootings, I'll agree with you. They don't say, oh, it's a gun-free zone, but when they go into schools, they know it's a gun-free zone.
But you make the argument that that is the motivation. What I'm telling you is
one of the motivations.
And
it's one of the problems.
Violence.
Morgan, this university, I am told, was another gun-free zone. It's known as that. Most universities are. And doesn't that make these schools a target for someone who knows they could go in and load and reload and no one's going to stop them?
I think that's a great point. I think we should start by saying, first of all, that our thoughts and our prayers are with the family members.
Absolutely.
I think it's horrifically tragic what's gone on today. I think Trump responded immediately and said something that I agree with, was that really we're not looking as a society at the mental health aspects of this. Someone who's going into a school to a gun-free zone, of course they know that they can get away with it because there's no one to stop them. But secondly, that person has to be incredibly mentally ill to do something like that. So as a society, we can't just pass a background check and think that someone can't get a gun, can't get access to a gun. It needs to be a holistic approach as a society. It's what's going on that people are that disturbed mentally that they're willing to shoot people at school. It's disturbing.
Again, what worries me is, nobody wants a mentally ill person, a truly mentally ill person. But when you read about Obama and you worry about executive orders on his way out the door, Jessica, I don't put it past him to say, if you've been to a shrink, you can't get a gun. Here, you don't like it, go to court.
Steve,
I don't put that past him.
Like that. You don't put anything past him. You don't give him credit
for
anything.
He's done it before. He's done things like that before with immigration and others.
It's just a fact that you don't like Barack Obama. Okay. You're going to put everything negative that you possibly can on him.
Jessica,
we don't know what he's going to do.
The Supreme Court unanimously has struck down Obama and his administration. I think now last I saw it was a dozen times where they overturned and ruled against him. Unanimously, and the immigration executive order. I could give you other examples. So why would you be surprised if he would sign an executive order saying, if you go to a shrink, no guns?
I would be surprised. I would say that you making an argument about a slippery slope that you have not even seen is unfair.
No,
you shouldn't.
Of course, Morgan, it's a track record.
Well, the Iran deal is an executive order. I don't think many people realize that. That's why the Republican candidates say when they come in the next election that they could do away with it. I mean, he has a track record. One of the main reasons that the Iran deal is not going before a vote in the Senate as a treaty is because it's an executive order, because he couldn't get away with it otherwise.
No, that's a good point. And also we should point out that by the most conservative figures, conservative government figures, people use guns 100,000 times a year to fight off or fend off criminals and protecting themselves. That's conservative. Some say it's 350,000 or more. But in the last 30 years, 32 years actually. Mother Jones magazine, and that should make Jessica very comfortable.
Well, that's where I get all my data
counted
from.
61 quote-unquote mass murders, which means 4 or more people in one spot killed, and 30 states. And so that's 61 mass murders. Now, that's 61 too many, but that's over 30 years. So if you take 100,000 times a year that people have saved themselves and defended themselves with a gun, that's 3,200,000 over that same time period.
Steve, I don't want to take everyone's gun. I respect the Second Amendment, your right to bear arms. I get that. What we're talking about, I completely agree with Morgan about the need for a mental health holistic approach to dealing with this, and for Donald Trump to be the bearer of that message makes me uncomfortable. I'm not a big Trump fan, but I think that he's right on point with that, and I think that when Hillary starts talking about it, when O'Malley gets out there, Bernie Sanders, they're going to be talking about mental health as well. So I have no dispute with that, and I have no dispute with your numbers. I understand that there are many people, individuals and groups that rely on guns to protect themselves.
Like women?
Yes, women.
Morgan, about 30 seconds. What do you mean by a holistic approach?
Well, first of all, I think I should say, as a member of the reserves and the military, we take gun safety incredibly important. I mean, so it's something that I don't take lightly. When I see these shootings, I think it's incredibly disturbing. So I think what we need to do is we need to look at what Trump is putting out, because I think he's putting out real policy positions now, what the president has to say, and let's come together in a meaningful way and say, it's horrible that innocent people are being killed. What can we do about it without infringing on people's right to bear arms?
And the polls show that even since Sandy Hook, more than ever, that more people favor gun rights than more gun restrictions.
But can I just
no, we're out of time. We're coming back. Part 2 of the panel, though. The ladies will be back. Don't go away.
I did have Secretary Johnson today call and apologize to Jay
Secretary
Johnson.
of Homeland Security.
Yes, I did have the Director of the Secret Service call and apologize again. They've each called now twice, but that ain't good enough. It's not about me, but it is about what are they doing over there? These people are entrusted with guns by the president, for goodness sake, and if they're supposed to be the Secret Service, we give them police powers and we give them the ability to dive into confidential information, and it's very disconcerting.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back with the Malzberg panel, Jessica Tarlov and Morgan Ortagus, and of course, Jason Chaffetz, as we talked about earlier in the show with Governor Pataki. The Secret Service, we find out, wanted to release information that would be disturbing to him to have get out into the public because they didn't like what his committee was doing. And Governor Pataki said that this is a culture within the Obama administration, and you have to look only to the IRS or to the Justice Department, and this should be really no surprise.
You know, it's all about accountability, and I think whenever someone like Chaffetz is looking, into your underwear drawer and seeing what's there, people don't like it. And I think it really is disturbing that someone from the executive branch could try to leak shameful or embarrassing information about someone from the legislative branch. And first of all, let me say, we don't even know why Chaffetz wasn't chosen to be in the Secret Service. It could be for a health issue.
Right.
I mean, the standards are very stringent. They need to get to the bottom of it. If the FBI can find all of Hillary's scrubbed emails in her server, they can get to the bottom of who sent that email, who directed it, and who leaked the information.
And I got, Jessica, this is a culture that exists in this administration. If this were a Republican administration and they did to liberal groups what the IRS did to conservative groups, oh my God, there'd be impeachment talk, there'd be heads rolling, there'd be people in jail. Nothing has happened, and this is just another example.
Well, I was with you for the first part, and then you lost me again when you went down the if this was liberals, blah, blah, blah path.
I know, there's no double standard here. No.
I just don't know. You want to have the same fight every week. I completely agree with what Morgan said. I think that there is a culture within the Obama administration where everything has become politicized, and I don't like it. I don't like it as a Democrat. I don't like it as an American. To talk about the double standard, I don't feel that way. I don't feel Hillary's treated with kid gloves. I mean, I think Lois Lerner obviously got off a little easy, but we've heard a lot about the IRS. I mean, they have hearing after hearing after hearing. I mean,
what happened? And what happened? Who's been held accountable? I want somebody to go to jail for what they did. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. Be prosecuted. A Justice Department that's a real Justice Department. Nothing's happened to anybody in scandal after scandal. An Attorney General who was held in contempt of Congress. Do we know anything more about the gun running to Mexico? Do we know anything about it? No, nothing happens. Nobody's held accountable.
Do you already hate Loretta Lynch? I mean,
I'm not talking about Loretta Lynch.
But
I'm talking about Eric Holder.
Now she's the Attorney General.
Oh, so the other 7 years don't count anymore.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't count. I'm just saying, I mean, you need to update your talking points here. We have a new Attorney General. This could be
so you go from here on in, and what happened in the past 7 years of this administration doesn't matter. That's what you're saying.
I just said that there's an over-politicization of these issues in the Obama administration. I admitted it. I said it directly into the camera. Right. I said it was disquieting, and I agreed with Morgan.
All right, speaking of the Obama administration, Hillary, who was an integral part of the foreign policy disaster of said administration, and we found out some more emails. The drip continues, Morgan, yesterday, and in one email, Hillary said that Israelis, what was the exact quote that I had? Israelis always sound cocky. She agreed with a BBC reporter on that. Another email, which we'll put up, and I will paraphrase here. The State Department was going to come out in favor of eliminating on passport applications the terms mother and father and just put parent number one, parent number two. And Hillary didn't like that. Who made that decision that state will not use the terms mother and father and instead substitute parent one and parent two? I'm not defending that decision, which I disagree with and knew nothing about in front of this Congress. We need to address this today, or we'll be facing a huge Fox-generated media storm led by Palin, etc. Look, I'm with her on this. I think that's outrageous to take away mother and father anywhere, but she's so gay-friendly, and now we find out maybe not so gay-friendly.
But listen, Steve, that's an arcane level of micromanagement in the State Department. I mean, there are so many things that happened on her watch, Benghazi, Syria, among others. The fact that she's even worried about what is on the form parent or not, I mean, it just sort of, that's something that someone way beneath her should be dealing with. So I think that speaks to her level of management. I think the second thing that was interesting about the email is that she was very worried about Fox News. And when I read this report, I thought that's a real Nixonian level of paranoia that exists.
Well, she knows all about Nixonian. She was booted off that committee, the Watergate committee. All right, so Jessica, so your view on what she did there with that email?
Listen, I'm not for the over PC stuff. I don't get it. You mom and dad. I know lesbian couples, they're mom and mom. Dad and dad, I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't want to get rid of, gender pronouns. I think all of it is going a bit far. I don't see how it's offensive also to use the term anchor babies or illegals. As a liberal, it's too much for me. But we know that Hillary Clinton used to oppose gay marriage, so she was for civil unions, and she has changed her stance on that. And we know that politicians evolve. I mean, she's basically had to turn around on a large majority of not only what her husband was supportive of, but what she supported in the 90s and early 2000s. We've seen this with Obama and with a lot of other politicians.
But it wasn't even about gay marriage or not gay marriage. It was about how am I going to look.
Right, absolutely. All right, guys, ladies, great panel. Thank you very much. Up next, former Congressman Bob Barr. Wait till you hear who he wants to be Speaker of the House.